Hello lovely people, how are you all today? I hope you're well. I'm in the kitchen, I'm going to do some cooking. It was not my plan today to do any cooking, well apart from a quick bit of cooking to eat rather than cooking to film. But, well, that naughty storm Gareth, which was supposed to have been gone by now, has just given us another dumping of rain. So, although I wanted to catch up in the garden today and get my spud trenches done, actually by the time you see this, I think I will have done my spud trenches. So I'm just rolling up my sleeves. So I thought, right, if you're going to rain, I'm going to do some cooking and bring my friends along with me. What I'm going to do today is so simple, so quick, so few ingredients, just the way I like it. And it was a bit of an accident soup, shall we say, a couple of weeks ago. I'm sure you have this sort of thing too. Maybe you call it fridge soup. You get to the end of the week and there are things that need using up. So I had done a big load of cooking, let's say on a Tuesday. Can't remember the exact day now. And generally when I'm boiling up beans to use in a recipe, I will do more than I need so that I can then use them in another recipe. Sometimes it's just as simple as having them as a quick salad. So I'd boiled up a load of beans, I'd defrosted some tomatoes, I'd got all sorts of things in mind for the next couple of days for cooking, putting recipes together. But then I ended up with a stinking migraine and spent it was actually the best part of 48 hours in bed. So it wasn't until the Friday when I was feeling up to doing anything again. And I went to the fridge, and when I'm post-migraine, I never have a huge appetite, but I know I need to eat something. So I had a look in the fridge and I saw there were the beans I boiled a couple of days before, there were the defrosted tomatoes, I'd better get on and use them. So I chucked them together, as I'm going to show you today, and it turned out really, really yummy. So we'll get on with that in a minute. But what I also want to mention today, and I keep forgetting it to mention every time I'm in the kitchen doing some cooking with you guys, some of you will know about this anyway because you watch their channel. But I think it's about a month ago now, Richard and Paul from Richard and Paul's channel had a cookery competition that they ran. It was a great idea. The premise was you could use 5 ingredients only. That wasn't including seasonings and oils, that sort of thing. And actually garlic counted as a seasoning in their challenge. So 5 ingredients, and it had to be the most nutritionally balanced meal you could manage. So thinking carbs, protein, vitamins, minerals, fats, all of that sort of thing. So they set this competition up and they asked me and a couple of other people to help judge. So they got all their entrants in and came up with a short list. The short list was then sent to us judges to have a look through. They were all great recipes. And what I need to do today, I'll look for their video. As I said, I think it was about 4 weeks ago now. I'll link that because it's got links to all the recipes that were in the shortlist. And one of the ideas is that as a judge, I would make one of the recipes and film it, which I haven't done yet, so I'm planning hopefully to do it next weekend. So the recipe I chose wasn't the eventual winner. However, for me, it was my absolute favourite because the ingredients are all the things I love to eat, and I loved the sort of the history about the growing of the plants that was given as part of the recipe. It really, really spoke to me from that point of view. So that I'm hoping to do in about a week's time. But today, like I say, I'll try and remember to tag on to the bottom of this video the link to Richard and Paul's video, which then gives the links to all the different recipes they had in. Some really, really fabulous ones. And I think one of them, the winner, I think has actually been made by another YouTuber. So I'll try and find the link to that too. So yay, it'll be like the end of this video with all those links. It'll be veggie bonus time. Yay! Right, enough digressing. Let's have a look at the ingredients for today and get on and make this, because it's a really damp, dark day again, and this is going to warm the cockles of my soul. Oh, what a happy sight these ingredients are. So like I say, when I did this recipe, the beans, the squash and the tomatoes were all sort of leftovers. They were what I had in the fridge. So I'm going to start, this is going to be a sort of a soupy broth. I'm going to start, as always, with an onion and some garlic. I think I'm going to put all 4 cloves in today because I fancy a good garlic kick. I've got half of a squash that needs using up. It's not a massive one. This is another of the sucrine. I now know how to pronounce it. I've been saying sucrine for about 4 years, but it's actually sucrine, as you would pronounce it, sucre, as in sugar. So yes, half a squash. I've got the equivalent of a tin of tomatoes, as always, about 400 and something grams. That's just a portion defrosted. I've also made up about half a litre of stock. I think on the day I made this a couple of weeks ago, I didn't use quite as much stock, but it only gave me 3 portions, so I'm just going to kind of water it down, as it were, with some more stock. I added a bit of chilli, lovely at this time of year to give it that kind of warmth. And then I ended up with a couple of kinds of beans. So today I've got the beautiful coco de pampol, and then this is a mixture of some runner beans that were really tiddly and the white ones in there. That's the soissons, which is the French bean that's sort of like a baked bean. Soissons are particularly or specifically grown for drying, but the runner beans, all the climbing beans were so late last year because of the drought. They came on really late, and by the time they were getting to any decent size, when I would think about leaving them on the pods to dry, we started to get wet weather. So I harvested what was there and I froze them demi-sec instead of drying them. But there we go, dead simple, probably stuff that all of you have either in the fridge, the pantry or the freezer right now. So everything's chopped up and ready to go now. I've just got the onions and the garlic in, having a bit of a sweaty Betty moment, sweating down a little bit before I add the squash. And actually just cooking this onion today, it goes back to what I was saying in my top 5 seeds or plants to grow, that the video I was doing the other day. Yes, I could go to the shop and buy onions cheap, but I use them with virtually every meal I cook. The whites are usually what I use when I'm cooking. If it's going to be raw, a salad for instance, I'll use my reds, but there's not a day goes by when I don't use an onion, which is why I grow around about 200 onions every year. Gives me 4 onions a week, which just about does the trick. Okay, so the onions have had a nice little sweat down. Let's get some more ingredients added. So very simply, in goes the squash. All I've done is I've just chunked it up. They're not like teeny tiny chunks, they're not massive chunks. It doesn't matter too much what size they are. Oh, gorgeous things. Because this is all going to get whizzed and blended. Obviously the smaller they are, the more quickly they cook. So they're in. And now the magic of, oh, I need my spoon. The magic of a bit of spice. Now, I love the taste of spices, but I don't like if my tongue is falling off because it's too hot. So I'm just adding, oh, that's a generous half teaspoon. It's probably more like a whole teaspoon if it was a level teaspoon. And give that all a good, actually let me turn the heat down a little bit. Give it a good scrudge around, get all that squash coated in the chilli. And that as soon as it's reaching the heat, oh, it's releasing its gorgeous smells. Heavenly. Oh, the smell of sweaty onions, sweaty garlic and warm chilli is just gorgeous. So at this stage, yeah, heat right down. I'm just going to let this kind of meld together for about 5 minutes or so. I'm going to stay with it though, because I don't want it to stick. So I'm going to give it 5 minutes before I add the next couple of ingredients. Right, well they've had a few more minutes. Oh, and the smell is ridiculous. A little bit of the onion has caught on the bottom, it's charred a bit, but I don't mind because that's a gorgeous taste too. So, oh, I'm going to sneeze, hang on. Oh, maybe not. Oh, it's like, oh, excuse me. Oh my goodness, where's my hanky? I did turn away from the food. Gosh, sorry about that. Maybe it's a bit of chilli up from my nose. Okay, as we were. So in go the tomatoes. And like I said, I'm doing half a litre of stock today just because I want it to go a little bit further. I want this to do me 4 portions. So essentially with the tomatoes and the stock, I've got about a litre of liquid in there, which is about 250 mils if I divide it into 4 portions, which is what I want. But of course there are other ingredients going in there too. So I'm just going to bring that back up to the simmer. Lid back on because I don't really want it to reduce too much. I just want the squash to cook through and get nice and soft. So to stop all that evaporation and reduction, lid on, and I'll give it about 20 minutes or so, and then I'll just come back and I'll hoik a piece of the squash out and give it the bite test. Smelling gorgeous. This has been simmering for about 20 minutes. Just going to turn the heat off now. I've had a little piece of squash out and bitten into it, and it's the right sort of texture for me now. It's not completely soggy and mushy, but it's not hard. So now is the time. Like I said, I've turned the heat off. I'm going to add my random little runner beans, soissons, what have you. And because they were cooked previously and they've sat in the fridge, they're a bit chilly. So all I'm going to do is leave those for a few minutes. Oh, that lid's hot. Where's my glove? Just leave them in there for a few minutes. Lid on. Let them warm through again. And then the whole lot of this I'm going to blitz before I add my next ingredient. So sit, a couple of minutes, warm through, then blitz. So now that it's blitzed, oh look, it's gorgeous and thick and creamy. It's one of those rib stickers, yum yum yum. So finally I'm going to add the beautiful coco de pampol. Now I'm using 2 beans in this recipe. Obviously the runner beans, well, combination of runner beans and soissons and the coco de pampol, but because these beans are going to stay whole, I've chosen my favourite bean for the bean to stay whole. Yum yum yum. Basically whatever beans you've got, give that a stir through. And again, if for example your beans have been in the fridge overnight, you might, sorry, clank clank, you might just want to put the heat back on and bring this soup back up to warm it through. But I think there should be enough residual heat in it for me to just pop the lid on for now and then have a bowl full in about 5 minutes. Yum yum yum. Yum yum yum. Accidental soup at its best. Oh, thick, creamy, warm, a little bit spicy, gorgeous. So there we have it. Dead simple and pretty quick if you've already got the ingredients on standby in the fridge. It really is lovely and comforting. That beautiful kind of warmth of the chilli. The thickness, the creaminess of the flesh of the squash and the runner beans being blitzed. The occasional gorgeous creamy bite of a coco de pampol. What a happy accident. I'm sure, excuse me, oh chilli. I'm sure most of you have got a favourite fridge soup too. But I just thought I'd share this with you because it wasn't a combination I'd ever done before. And I think it's really great for that kind of post being a bit poorly. So when I've had a migraine, the chances are for at least 24 hours, if not 48 hours, I won't have had anything to eat. I always make sure I have water by the side of the bed and I keep having sips of water through that time. But generally, I won't have had anything to eat. I want something quite sort of simple when I do come out of the other side of it. This is so easy to digest. It's just one of those, oh yes, I do want another mouthful. I do want another mouthful. Beautiful, subtle flavours all melding together. Honestly, it's like some sort of comforting medicine in a bowl. And of course, having 2 portions of beans in it, it's chock full of protein for me as well. And never mind that, it's full of vitamins and minerals. You know, our orange coloured veg are so good for us. We've got orange in there from the squash, we've got the red of the tomatoes, we've got the lycopene of the tomatoes, we've got all the antimicrobial bits from the onions and the garlic. It's a win-win surely, isn't it? And let's face it, apart from the stock, which was powdered, you could just, honestly, you could just literally use hot water if you don't have any stock. So the stock and the chilli, those are the only additions that have not come from my garden. I love it. Here I am in, fast approaching spring. Still having a bit of rubbishy weather, but fast approaching spring. And this is all of last summer and last autumn's harvests. Aren't we lucky to have our gardens? Aren't we lucky to have somewhere to grow our own food? So, give it a go. It's deadly. I think actually it's, you know, if you've got some beans left in the fridge, it's one of those things you could knock it together really quickly after a day in the garden. Or take it to the garden in a flask. Oh, you'll make all your plot neighbours jealous if you get this out at lunchtime and start feasting on it. Yay! Right, well, I want to get my nose in the trough now, so I'm going to say cheerio to you all for now. I will see you all again really soon, I hope. The theme in the next few days is all about the potatoes, because now that Storm Gareth has passed, it's all about trenches and planting and da-da-da. So, I'll see you all again really soon in the garden. But in the meantime, have fun in your kitchens, have fun making your fridge soup or your accident soup. Whatever you're up to, have fun, enjoy it. Take care of yourselves everyone, and I'll see you really soon.